changes being made, and so at that point each era was down to whoever got control of the keys and the power, which is like a really unnerving way to look at it, that they're playing ping pong with the universe at that point. But that was what was going on, and that's why this, what I forgot to put in, is that before this began, time was one connected flow, kind of like a dance or emotion or something of the sort. As soon as it began to reset, the blocks that are reset are separate systems. Each is a universe into itself. And so it means that each is going to have its own theme or its own underlying script. And it's due to the person that is used, the brain that is used to format the structure. And so basically every few years was its own time period. That is why time seemingly continued to expand at a much faster rate after World War. Excuse me. People say there were some other being that caused an explosion. An explosion to technology and advancement. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to wash my face again. It happens, first, I guess because it's so stuffy in here, because of the heat. But it's not what we think. It wasn't ETs or something like that. It's because of the simulation system kicking online and the original being disconnected. And so to that point, time was accelerating as a result of the changes being made, and so at that point each era was down to whoever got control of the keys and the power, which is like a really unnerving way to look at it, that they're playing ping pong with the universe at that point. But that was what was going on, and that's why these blocks of time began to shrink and accelerate. It wasn't accelerating the resets, but time between resets was shrinking more and more and more. And it means the universe is collapsing, it's shrinking in on itself, on its own footprint. And so then the point is, the goal is to get out of that and have one long projection into wherever we're going to go. But the point is, if that's not done properly, you get out of that into one long projection or one long trajectory of time into a reset. And so we have to overcome the reset. The reset is the Ouroboros quantum loop that the people in the secret societies and projects have always known about, because it's been happening since the beginning, but the beginning is the end because we're in a loop. So they didn't have to wait until it occurred to know about it. They basically grab people and put them into the situation, the system, and wake them up, and they realize what's going on. Everybody in the group knows what's going on because they've been here for thousands of years, and they, manage out people's memories as a result of that. Basically, the universe collapsed. To fix that, they made a fake one within the old one within the split second before it collapsed, and we've been in that trying to figure out a way to merge with the other side of the collapse to bridge that gap since then. Apparently, they figured it out. It's a bunch of weird systems where they figured out loopholes of how to transfer us through a kind of quantum bridge, a temporal bridge, which acts as a transitory timeline or a temporary timeline into something else. But the point is, the other side of that timeline, this is the clever, quirky way they have of solving problems. We have the issue of the universe collapsing. How do you fix it? Invent immortality and kill death. So it's kind of like overkill, overshot, but the point is, the end result, the exemplification of what the solution is to fix every problem that ever existed. And then what? Well, then we become like gods, and the civilization no longer needs time, so time collapses. What do? Become eternal, immortal beings that no longer need time, and every single physical limitation is gone. Wipe out the problems of every possible universe and merge your parallel with the supreme pinnacle parallel that is also the origination of all simulations in existence. That's kind of how it works. In the same way with these projects, with these betterments of society that didn't get infiltrated, and all of them got infiltrated, but the beginning of it was the mystery schools to take the mind and enhance a person to the point where they're spiritually, mentally, physically balanced, and they're the highest potential version of themselves across any possible parallel reality. How do you solve your money issue, your emotional problems, your relationship problems? Become the enlightened one as a little g god of your own universe, the master of your destiny, and always in respect to the true creator. But that's the point. There's an artificial one, because who's the creator if you're in these quantum resets and things like that. There are also fake creators that have been messing around with things, but that's their trend of solving the problem. You stub your toe. How do you solve it? Basically, this is a terrible example. I'm going to get, this is like the stupid stuff I say. How do you solve it, become immortal? I was going to say something else, transhumanism or something, but that's what it is. Become a spiritual, eternal energy being, but that's the kind of idea. But that's what we have to do with this civilization. The point is, it requires that we complete all of time and all of these disturbances. We max out all the checkpoints and we reach the next quantum layer of our civilization. We go to the next level up in a very, very condensed amount of time because somebody messed up the playing field. Somebody broke the board, and now it's literally going to die. It's going to take a nosedive if we don't do something fast. So all it means is that because of this added stress, these catalysts, that we have to accelerate very quickly through all the issues, which is basically the underlying plan of those kind of in this situation saying, well, the more suffering, the more stress we put on people, the more torture in a way, the faster they're going to evolve. The point is, that was enacted because somebody else did it by saying, no, we don't want to help anybody involved. We're just taking our stuff and we're taking their stuff, stealing stuff and messing things up. That was the error, the fall of grace, okay, that was then necessitated the requirement of a massively accelerated transition into the next civilizational level of awareness. And it's all based upon awareness and consciousness. We have to become supreme consciousness systems, basically, people. And ultimately, this relates to collective consciousness and waking up as a collective and no longer being like a herd pack of animals, but as well not losing the individuality and becoming purely like a cyborg race. So all the kinks have to be worked out one fell swoop, one go at a time, or all in one complete go, and that's how it works. Basically, the time resets, they create these ripples, these disturbances. So the way to do it, they programmed in the trajectory from the first problem, the monolith coming down, the Prometheus and fire, the fall of man, the separation from heaven, the higher and lower, the rebellion of heaven from the angels, etc. Okay, the demiurge, the Nephilim, all that, okay. They put that there, and now we have to go from one civilization from there into the next civilization and create a single, perfectly time-stamped, because that equals that time-stamp is consistent and solid, and it will merge with the higher universe. If it's broken and hacked job, the universe isn't going to take us, we're going to get spat back out the end. And this is our last chance, because we don't have any more energy. And so the point is that we have to do it all one complete swoop, and this is this civilization. This is why we're figuring it out now, because we've been doing it this whole time. And the other times where we didn't get it, it didn't work. Okay, well, we don't know about that unless you plug yourself into a cyclotron or something, some of these devices, the chair, whatever you want to call it, and they download the memories. Other than that, we don't know about the times we collapsed into the void and it didn't work. That's the point. The fact that we're waking up now and seeing all these things, these errors, these glitches, these deja vus, these wake ups, okay, the awakenings, that's because we're literally teetering on the edge between this universe and the next. Or it's not a universe, it's a temporal layer. It's you call it dimension, it's really a reality stream, like a parallel. But none of those equate to the definition, at least as far as I was informed. Meaning they literally said, those words are like, okay, but that's not how it really works. And the words they use, I never really can remember, because it's like a string of 10 different words that sounds like they're just making stuff up. It's kind of like the way chemicals are named, which all is not made up. It's all, obviously scientific. But, and again, science is religion, religion's science. It's all backwards. Everybody, people say it's the opposite. You're either religion or science. No, you're religious, you're using science. You're scientific, that's religion, okay? Unless you know that it's magic, because it's really, I'm just going to lose people there, but that's what it is. The people, the scientists, don't have anything to do. It's like the real religious figures, the Christed ones. They come down and it's like you're eating pork, and you watch this smut on TV, and you use this language, and you're supporting your clothes. And he looks into their clothes because he's a spiritual, telepathic, energetic being. And he goes, "This was made by some poor child brown kid in Bangladesh that died from overwork and exhaustion last week. You're parading around in their blood and sweat and tears? What is wrong with you people? Oh, we worship the one." No, none of you do. But then the scientists that are like, we know about this and this and that, and this is what we do here. We do this for money, and it's like you lie to people. Everybody's medicine is killing them. The political system, your view of the universe is that you came from what? that time is enabled by this. It's like, you made this all up, right? This is a joke. So it's backwards. Everything that is in public is the opposite of what it actually is. And everybody behind the scenes knows that and keeps up the charades because A, if people figure it out, they'd go insane. And B, there has to be a solution. And the C is because screw them, they're stupid, they don't know anything. And again, neither of them is wrong or right. It's just what it is. And if you think it's wrong or right, then guess what? Do something about it. And if you go, you gotta do it. All right, guess what? They're right. You're wrong. That's why you're waiting on them to do something about it. And if you know one way or the other and you did something, guess what? You're not sitting there complaining about right or wrong. You're going, that makes sense. I thought something happened around this time, or these events in history changed or altered, or something was different, so on and so forth. If you know, you know. If you don't, you're complaining, and you're never going to get anywhere by complaining. That's what it is. And as well, it's all lies out here. And that's the point. That's what you either know or you don't know. But yeah, the solution is to jump to the highest possible potential parallel of humanity, and we have to do it in one life as a species. If there's a reset and we run out of energy, we're not going to be able to press that reset button, and we're like, it's nighttime. Mom wants us to go to bed. We can't hit the reset again and start over from the next checkpoint 10 minutes ago. We have 1 minute left. That's kind of what it's about. All right. Hopefully I'm not. This is the stuff I want to talk about, but it is so strange to talk about, and the memories are kept up in a very, very strange way these operations work, which is basically from 2010, where they had me drive out to a location, and there's a facility where they run these big devices that look like MRI machines or something, and they plug you in and beam your consciousness into different systems. But if you will, it's all time. Basically, the future comes after the past. In other words, before the past. So in other words, if we're going to a civilization where we're going to gain access to a very high level of technology, and you're going to become aware of that at some point in time, that means that's the person, those are the people in the civilization that organized this type of simulation for you to then take a ride and experience that. Meaning, if you can imagine them and you can connect who you are here and now to that, that means those are the people that you actually are in line with, and those are the people you're becoming. But you become them later because first you were them to start this travel back in time in the first place. It's basically, we're in broken time right now. It's like smoke and mirrors. But we have to get through broken time in order to get to the original equilibrium, which means we have to accelerate and basically leave behind the shadow consciousness, the ego. And I don't mean dark shadow consciousness, but this gradient delay, like you literally have a reverb on a pedal and there's echoes, because it's moving through a medium which is condensing down the ability or the speed of rate of transfer, and it's like a low efficiency medium. And so we're stuck in that system, and it's like a holographic fractal light show type medium, because it's containing our light. It's containing the energy of our consciousness. And so we organize what we're doing. We enable ourselves to handle the maximum rate of transmission for extraction, and then we hit a superconductive platform that allows us to beam ourselves out. For instance, you reduce the delay, everything you think instantly appears. Okay, guess what? If you're not harmonized, you create a big monster, a big bomb, a cliff, a bunch of drugs, or something crazy, and it destroys you, period. So that cleansing, that loss of fear, that is the defeating of death. That is what is required. The loss of fear, the overcoming of the duality of pain and pleasure. Otherwise, that's the delay, that's the autonomous ego-typed imposter AI system that's trying to think for you, because the more that noise is entered into your existence, then the less you are actually self-aware, because it's something else guiding your actions and thinking for you. What would you do as a truly aware being? You would purely observe. There would be no difference between you and what you're observing. You're just there. There's no you, basically. It's all observation. And somebody who's really egotistical and he's got the clothes on his back and the house and so on and so forth, and it's all his idea. It's his idea of him or her, and it's not like, well, I'm just the one who owns these things. It's not my life that is represented through that. The person who's entirely egotistical, there's no self-awareness there, because the self-awareness is a spiritual thing that's watching all these things and has no physical definition, but only a correspondence. And so the point is, we have to merge with the highest version of ourselves, which is a purified body, a purified mind, and a purified spiritual form, or in other words, a balanced, harmonized spiritual form that is equidistant from the different effects and ratios, meaning you couldn't tell the difference between either or, because they're all one, they're harmonized. All right.